The Spiel in Nashville, Tennessee, we're on the road, and I tell you what, you just bump into some really cool people when you travel, don't you?
You know, if I'm going to bump into anyone, I want it to be Mickey Gilley.
Oh,
Welcome
Mickey
to
Gilley.
the show.
Wow.
Oh, thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, you know, look, you're one of those talents year after year and generation after generation. What do you accredit the longevity to?
Well, you know, I struggled 17 years in the music business. At the time, I didn't realize it. I was doing a tribute to my cousin, Gilley Lewis.
Sure.
I could do all of his music, you know. When he hit with a whole lot of shaking back in the 50s, I was working in a construction job doing $1.25 an hour. And I decided when I saw that he was doing so well in the music industry, I would try to follow him. Big mistake. I should have followed Reverend Swaggart.
Oh. Another cousin. You
Another
can go
cousin.
one way or the other. That's
Because
you got the devil and the angel on your shoulder, right?
Because if I wanted to make money, I would have followed Reverend Jimmy Swaggart,
There
you
you
know,
go.
because he made more money than me and Gilley put together.
Isn't that something? Those ladies watching that television, they'll send.
Well, in 1971, my life changed when I went into business with a guy and we opened up Gilley's in Pasadena, Texas.
Boy, did it.
Oh boy.
And, you know, sort of fate laid its hand on my shoulder because I got a little local TV show in the Houston market. Started doing this little TV show. And I walked in the club one night, I think it was 1972, 73, somewhere in that area. And the lady had the jukebox in Gilley's. She said, "Today on your show you did my favorite song." And I said, "What was it?" She said, "She Called Me Baby All Night Long." I said, "Yep, sure did." I said, "That's a Harlan Howard tune." She said, "I know." She said, "I'm in the jukebox business." She said, "I'd like for you to record that for me." I said, "What in the world for?" She said, "I got 300 jukeboxes. I'm going to put it on every one of them." And I said, "Ma'am, get Harlan Howard's version of it." I said, "I hadn't made a record now in the last 3 or 4 years." I said, "When I made them, I couldn't sell them, so it's no point me, you know, messing around in the industry anymore. You know, everybody compared me to my cousin, Gilley." And I said, "They've got one Gilley Lewis. They don't need another one." She said, "Just make that record for me, and I'm going to put it on a jukebox to be good for you in the club." Well, the local TV show was doing fairly well. I went in the studio to record She Called Me Baby. And as fate would have it, I picked Room Full of Roses for the flip side.
Wow.
It was my first #1 record. And it almost didn't get recorded because I made arpeggio down the piano and started into it. Got about 35 or 40 seconds into the song, and I stopped, and the bass guitar player on the recording session looked over at me and he says, "What'd you quit for?" I said, "I don't think I'll do this song. It's going to sound too much like my cousin, Gilley Lewis." He said, "Who cares? Nobody's ever going to hear it." And that's how it started, because when Room Full of Roses went #1 in the nation, which almost didn't happen for me, because when I came to Nashville, everybody turned it down. They knew I had a club, and they knew I had a local TV show, and they knew I'd been struggling 17 years, and they knew I was a cousin, Gilley Lewis. They didn't need another Gilley Lewis and that type of thing. And so they weren't interested in Mickey Gilley, you know. And when I brought it up here, everybody looked at it and said, "Nah." And just so happens a friend of mine by the name of Eddie Kilroy, I called him. He was doing promotional work here in Nashville. And he said, "What are you doing in Nashville?" I said, "I brought this song Room Full of Roses up, and I can't get it, you know, released nationally. It was on the local label in the Houston market." He said, "I got a company that'll take it." And I said, "Who?" And he said, "Playboy Records." And I screamed at him on the phone. I said, "Are you kidding me? Hugh Hefner's got a record label." We jumped on the plane, went to Los Angeles, and they signed me up, and the record came out. It was all the way to #1. 2 days later, I'm signed to his agency, and 2 weeks later, I'm opening shows for Conway and Loretta on the road. That's how my career got started.
That's how it happens, isn't it? You know, you've got this other little-known hit that I think people still say today, "The girls get prettier at closing time."
They do. Because they do.
I did that last night. I did that on the Opry, and I made this statement. I said, "Folks," I said, "this is the national anthem of our honky-tonk in the world."
Oh, I love it.
Because it is a fact, the girls definitely get better looking at closing time. And, of course, I know the guys look better to the girls at closing time, too.
That's it.
You know?
That's it.
I enjoy the music more than anything else. And I've got a theater in Branson, Missouri. I tried 3 restaurants, and I went broke in all 3 of them, so I got out of the restaurant business. But I still have my theater, and I'm going to stick to singing.
You talked about hitting the road again. How many dates are you wanting to do a year? Just
Well, I told my agent, Al Embry, I said, "You know what?" I said, you book it, I'll play it. I enjoy the music industry. You know, I enjoy playing. That's my life.
Yeah. I love it when you sat down, you said, "You know what, hang on a second, let me put my rings on so you'll recognize me." Are there stories behind those?
Absolutely.
Okay.
When we opened Gilley's in 1971, and of course in 1974 when Room Full of Roses went #1 for me, I casually looked over to my business partner I was, you know, I had the club with.
Sure.
And I said, "You know, I had a #1 song." I said, "What do you want to give me for my first #1 record?" He said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want a Lincoln Continental." He said, "Come to the office." he signed a blank check for me, and I went and bought me a Lincoln Continental.
Stop it.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
And then it went on right down the line, you know. He started giving me, you know,
Diamonds?
Diamonds.
You're like, I'll take diamonds.
Which one was the first you got?
Well, I don't remember now. 'Cause
It's only been a couple of years ago. Huh?
Yeah. You know, these stories are fantastic, and you speak with such passion about all of them. In your heart of hearts, what's your biggest success, your biggest moment? Where was that for you?
to get to perform in front of the two presidents was quite rewarding.
Pretty cool. You've had many incredible hits. If you had to choose one, they're all your babies, I know. But if you had to choose the one, which is your favorite?
Well, if I had to pick one song that I feel like is one of my favorite recordings that I made in the 80s, it would have to be "That's All That Matters to Me," written by the late and great Hank Cochran. That's one of my favorite songs I did, and I go back and listen to it, and I said, you know what, I don't think I could improve it any more if I tried today, you know.
You have such power for a moment before an audience. You can speak to them in so many ways through song. What does the music mean for you?
Music means to me, when I listen to certain songs that have been written, it's about what you can relate to. You know, if you listen to, I had somebody request one day, hey, can you play "That's All That Matters to Me" for our anniversary? And I said, well, was y'all married to somebody else before then? You know, I said, because it's not a good song for an anniversary song.
Sure.
Because
That's
it
right.
starts off, "I know I'm not your first love," you know.
Right.
There's been others before me. I'm thinking, you know, but that's the one they wanted to hear, you know. I said, "Stand By Me" is more appropriate, you know,
Yeah.
than that particular song. But, you know, you get requests for things. And I listen to a song in country, and if it's got a message to it, and you think about it, you got... in a movie, you got 2 hours to tell the story. In a
right.
song, you got about 2.5, 3 minutes.
That's right. Well, we're getting near the end of the interview here, and we like to begin to have a little bit of fun with people. Julie, you want to do your...
Fast four, are you ready?
What now?
Fast
He goes,
four.
whoa, let's slow down.
Fast.
Let's slow down.
This is, I'm going to shoot some things at you, and this is your opinion only, okay?
Okay.
Chinese or Mexican?
Both.
Both.
I love both. I love, of course, I eat more Mexican food than I do Chinese food because there's not that many restaurants around in my neighborhood that's more Mexican food.
I know this is going to be very hard for you. Strait or Jones? George Jones, George Strait?
There'll never be another George Jones.
Amen.
He's my favorite of all times. And I love George too. And I'm glad George is out there because he's keeping the country.
Right, right.
Boxers or briefs?
Well, I wear boxers right now. I'm not wearing anything at all. Whether you know this or not, I'm naked under this table. Don't peek here. I just
Don't
got this
peek,
blue
Julie.
coat on.
Don't peek, don't peek. You got one more? Was that four?
Oh, that was three.
Three? Got one more.
One more. What do we ask?
Blondes, brunettes, redheads.
redheads?
Wait. I don't think he has a preference. Right?
And let me put it like this: if God made anything better than a woman, He kept it for Himself. So that's how I feel about it.
Oh, that's a song. What?
Let's write that.
You write it, and I'll sing it.
That'd be good. That'd
now,
be good.
now I'm a little bit too old to record anymore, but anyway.
No, you're not.
We need some little nugget, because I'm looking at all these nuggets of diamonds here. Just some little thing that perhaps no one would know about Mickey Gilley that you could share. Give it to us, that exclusive, that little bit of something.
Wow, that's a good question.
It is. Hey, it could be
That
anything.
is a good
That
question.
you never told before.
Yes.
Wow.
Come on.
I never thought that the social media would come along and I would be exposed out there, you know, everybody, the way things are. I will tell you that I'm very happy that we got that because I have a Facebook page,
Yay.
Mickey Gilley's personal update page.
be
I don't know
my
whether you know that or not.
Very good. Very good.
I'm on Twitter,
That's awesome.
You tweet?
Mickey Gilley Tweeter
Wow.
1. Tweety, or what you got to call
Tweety
it?
one. Tweet. He's
Tweety.
tweeting.
Mickey Gilley 1.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolute joy. Thank
And
you so
thank you.
much. We'll be right back.